Well, this is a bit strange, but I guess I should start uploading again. Today I'd like to talk about the recent discussion about African crime gangs or African youth gangs in the Melbourne West area of my home country, Australia. For many of the people who have actually been paying attention to the news, there have been quite a lot of discussion about the fact that there has been a lot of youth gang and a lot of criminal activity from these African-born, African-descended young men. Now, I think we need to have a very strong discussion about this issue and not leave this whole preliminary discussion or leave this horrendous problem to the likes of Andrew Bolt or far-right commentators. We need to discuss why people commit crimes, and different ethnicities and different groups have different reasons for their behaviors, their basis, and whether they can integrate with society, because I'm pretty sure not a lot of social values translate to ours, and whether or not these youth we can actually rehabilitate it. We also need to consider our refugee policy as well. And for the first most, I don't really agree with a lot of the conservatives on how they're targeting race in general, but I do think that we need to have a very broad discussion about the values of various groups. Allow me to explain. You have to remember that a lot of these young men have come from South Sudan. They've come from war-torn regions. They've come from regions with a tribal-based society. And these tribal-based societies translate or some form results or like personates back into their own activity or their own subculture in Australia. And this culture does not work or mesh well with Great Australian society. This culture is not just about food, songs, or dance. It is actually a discussion about women's rights, corruption, how violence is dealt with within the community, polygamy, how meritocracy, and how you treat strangers. Culture is not just all the celebration. It's actually both quite harmful, and a clash of cultures would probably be inevitable unless we discuss whether or not we should bring people who can bring from other cultures. There has been no country in this world which has stably developed without a strong homogeneous culture. Different ethnic groups, yes. Different religious groups, yes, but not without a strong unifying culture. And I fear of this because, like I said, I'm quite fearful about being called Uncle Tom or a self-hating South Asian. But there's nothing I can do about that. But someone has to discuss this issue. Someone has to. South Sudanese gangs, according to several other articles, South Sudanese men commit 70 times more crime than the general baseline. And that's an extremely disproportionate amount. Like welfare and like seems to be is a good thing. We should increase the welfare payments. We should help and push people, but not to the point where they disadvantage us. And more than that, I think there should be a very broad-based or well understood sense of where a lot of immigrant groups stand on various issues. We should not bring forth Stone Age or medieval values to this modern society. It has no place. It makes the society regress. Like it's happening in Britain, where a lot of Muslim men and women are being entered into polygamous marriages, or like how the shockingly high abuse rates or suicide rates in a lot of East Asian or South Asian society. Like I'm not gonna say that Australian society is perfect and it's not been built on the backs and blood of a lot of Aboriginals or other non-whites. However, it's a society that's been built and people are attracted to it. If they have no place in this society or have no tolerance to or acceptance to assimilate into this the social values of Australia, then they have no place in it. And we should do that. People are welcome here if they're refugees. People are welcome here if they accept the value. But they should not just be welcome here just for economic opportunity. Because that has a problem of regressing and causing issues to undercut the very foundations of Australian society. I will admit, I would love to be a mainstream part of Australian society. I want to be part of this group. And I'm mostly accepted, I'll admit that, but there are some things I can't do from personal experience. I can apply for 90% of the positions in society and have some disadvantage, but not exceptional. And there are groups worse off than me. But for the most part, I also accept that this is one of the least racist countries in the world. It's not the least racist country, it's one of the most least. And we must do a lot to protect the values that enshrine Australian lifestyle. Women's rights, LGBT rights, the idea of a fair go, and we must push back against both medieval cultural practices and neoliberal ideals. Thanks.